Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you remember in our last video, we were dismantling this 63 Mobile Scout while this 61 Aljo was having some work done on the frame. Well, obviously, we've got this one all stripped down to the frame, so we're going to jump back in time a couple of weeks and show you getting the deck and the chassis boards off of that, and then I'll talk a little bit about the work we had done on the 61 Aljo. Okay, so last night I was able to take all those measurements and make another SketchUp. You can see it's getting a little more complete looking now. I got the sides and the ceiling joists. What we need now are dimensions from the chassis boards, then we move on from there. Yeah, I've got it all kind of wiped off. Yeah, I don't know. What do you need me to say about that? It's not rocket science. You just measure the dang thing and take it apart. These pieces are what are left of the wall. When I pulled that off, it would be the skirt boards, and this here is the chassis board. So I got to get these off all the way around because they just tore away from the walls when I pulled them down. Once I've done that, it makes it a little easier to see kind of, you know, it looks right here like we've got a sheet of 1/2 inch plywood on top of a 1/4 inch sheet of, it's actually like the kind of soundproofing material they use in, you know, making like a recording studio. It's kind of a fiber board or something, but it has no real structural value. Its only real value is sort of as insulation. A 1/4 inch of that is not going to give you much insulation either. It doesn't rot. It stands up to water, you know, so does plywood. So generally when I rebuild these, when I've had this material, I just leave it out, and instead of using a 1/2 inch sheet of plywood, I just use a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood, and that probably makes it a little stronger. I don't know that it makes it any heavier because that stuff actually weighs quite a bit. So, you know, it's easier. That's why I do it. I got it. So I've seen some debate about whether screws or nails are the appropriate things to use to put one of these campers together. And well, right there, and in several places along the camper, you can see they used both screws and nails. Screws theoretically hold a little tighter, but nails flex a little bit better. And when you're going down the road, this thing's going to flex some. I don't know. There you have it. Use whatever you want. So I'm going to pull all of those out, and then I'm going to start doing some measurements. So all of these campers will have a leading edge board and a trailing edge board. And what those two things allow is for the ceiling material to come down and be tacked into something at the bottom, and on some of them, like on this one, it appears that that leading and trailing edge board is also where the outside skin attaches to. It comes out like this, and then the next piece comes up at an angle to meet it. So I'm going to start by measuring those, and then I'm going to pull those off, and then I'll have a nice smooth edge to get my length here, and then I can measure my width and whatnot. You know, it's not super important to be hugely exact on where these panels break, because obviously you're going to be using more than one 4x8 sheet of plywood to do this, but you want those panels to break wherever there is a chassis board underneath there for you to tack it down to. Measure these, pull them off. All right, let's grind them. There. Yay! There we go. Okay. Woo! Piece of cake. Ha! There we go. Piece of cake. Overall, the frame is in really good shape. There's only a little bit of angle iron that's kind of bent. I know I should have it straightened, so that's probably what I will ultimately wind up doing. The bearings sound nice. I'm definitely going to take those apart and check them. The one thing that's kind of interesting to me about the Mobile Scout frame, at least in comparison to like the Aljo frame, is it looks like a boat trailer frame. And there's also a lot more angle iron cross pieces. Well, a lot more. There's 2 more angle iron cross pieces. So I suspect this is going to be ultimately a better platform for a photo booth because there's extra, material under there to support it. And you can also tell it's a longer frame than the Aljo, although the Camper itself is pretty similar in overall length. It's because it doesn't overhang the back of the frame like the Aljo does. The 61 Aljo was a little bit bent up. Some of those bits of angle iron that went across horizontally between the 2 C-channel frame rails, those were bent a little bit at the front and quite a bit at the back. So I found a retired welder that had some time that he could, take a look at that. And he was able to straighten the angle iron to where it didn't really need to be replaced. So another thing that was wrong with this frame was the hitch was kind of messed up. And the easiest thing to do was just to cut it off and weld on a new one, which he did. And I'm very happy with how that turned out as well. The other thing that he did for me was some of the brackets that hold the chassis boards to the frame were kind of bent up, and I really didn't feel super great about leaving it that way. I really want to make sure those outer chassis boards are beefed up in addition to where the outer skirt boards of the walls are going to attach to those. I really want to have at least like a 2x4 on that outer chassis board, and so I needed to move those brackets in by just a little bit to account for the difference in thickness there. So I had to move all the brackets on the outer sides in just a tiny bit to accommodate that. And that's maybe something to say about anybody that's thinking about doing a kiosk trailer or a serving trailer or, definitely a photo booth. Consider the fact that a camper is designed for a few people going in and out of it. It's for a family that would use it in a day. It's not for taking it to a convention where there's hundreds or thousands of people and letting those people traipse in and out of it all day long. That's a lot of additional wear and tear, even though you think like, oh, well, they're just walking in and walking out. That is, pressure, unequal pressure on the, deck and the frame and everything. Over time, that all adds up to wear and tear. And, you need to consider those things. So with both of these frames stripped down, they are ready to get cleaned up and get painted. And so that will be coming up in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed this brief look at where we are with these things. Even though these are kind of built a little bit differently, it will be quicker overall to do them side by side. I may regret that. Please continue watching and bear witness to my regrets. Don't just leave it for my family. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next video.